How does unpredictable environmental variability affect population predictions? Imagine trying to forecast the weather but with much more chaos. That's similar to what ecologists face when predicting how populations will change in unpredictable environments. When conditions like temperature, rainfall, or food supply fluctuate suddenly and unexpectedly, it becomes much harder to know what will happen next. Populations respond to these changes in ways that are often complex and difficult to predict. Population predictions depend on models that estimate how many individuals will survive and reproduce under certain conditions. When the environment stays stable or changes in a predictable way, these models work pretty well. But when conditions shift suddenly and without warning, the models can become less accurate. For example, a sudden drought or a quick temperature drop can cause unexpected drops or spikes in population numbers. One reason for this unpredictability is that individual animals or plants have different traits. Some might tolerate heat better, while others are more drought-resistant. Their behaviors also vary, like some migrating early or breeding at different times. These differences influence how the entire population responds to environmental surprises. Traditional models often look at average conditions, but they miss these individual differences and the complexity of habitats. More advanced models try to include how individual traits and behaviors change in response to the environment. These models aim to connect what happens at the level of single organisms to the overall population. But building these models requires lots of detailed data, which can be hard to gather. Environmental variability affects populations differently depending on where they live. Populations at the edges of a species range tend to experience more stress and fluctuate more because conditions are less suitable for them. But this isn't always the case. It depends on the species' performance curve, which shows how well a population grows at different environmental conditions. Populations in less favorable areas often grow more slowly and have bigger swings in numbers. Including environmental variability in models is really important, especially as climate change makes conditions more unpredictable. Better predictions help conservationists and managers decide how to protect vulnerable populations. They can identify which populations are most at risk and plan actions accordingly. In the end, unpredictable environmental changes make predicting population trends more complicated because they cause fluctuations in survival and reproduction. To improve predictions, ecologists are moving toward models that consider individual differences and spatial factors. This helps us better understand how populations will respond as the environment continues to change and become more unpredictable.